Well, I put this in actually, okay. I put this in, what we just did, at the end of the material on the text. And on the last page of that, it says, beginning instructions condensed from the descriptions of the breadth of the elements and the teachings of Murshid Sam. And then it goes through what we did, and then at the end it says, and what we did earlier, to concentrate on the qualities of the earth, such as solidity, stability, loyalty, service. Visualize your breath in a flat way, spreading out on the horizontal plane. You know, first to enter into fikr and to notice the breath in that way. These are optional practices, okay? This is not something I'm assigning, but it's something you might want to experiment over the course of the month. It's the last page of the text, not of the assignments, and it says at the top, optional. Explore the purifying effect of each element on the breath by simply breathing naturally and in rhythm and letting your awareness reflect at the same time on the qualities of the elements. So here I'm talking about the pure element of the earth. You know, to really expose yourself to that, because to breathe with that sense of it, and that's purifying. To do the same with the pure element of the water, and to remember these positive qualities that are mentioned here, and to notice that purifying thing. What then to bring in the ether into that, and then that takes it even further, because it spiritualizes it. It brings in the mystery. It turns the beauty of the flowing water into the holy river, you know, the sacred spring. But then what we're doing with the difficult aspects of the breath are what's going to come up in your everyday life. It's going to come up, and then when it does come up, I want you to know, Murshid recommends, you know, taking it in and absorbing it in your fikr and bringing ether, the remembrance of ether, into the mix as a way of harmonizing it. You see, if you noticed earlier, in both of the practices that we did, the walk of the cosmic mother and the Peace's power walk, for example, whereas one was, you know, had a Jamal manifestation, the other a Jalal manifestation, they both were rooted in the same inner peace and tranquility and stillness. And that's the basis of bringing the ether in too. If one can bring this awareness of this, the eternal quality of this stillness and its tranquility into the atmosphere that you're channeling with the breath, your breath is connecting with it, it has a tremendous power.
I can see that, you know, if a difficult situation came up, I don't know if I'd have a wherewithal at the moment to etherize anything.
Yeah.
Would, you know, maybe sitting alone and kind of reviewing the situation and then going into ether breath?
Yeah, that would be the way. You know, when you're caught up in the situation, you know, you like you say, you often don't have that ability to do that. But these situations that you get caught up with, they don't just stop. They just keep repeating, and they come back, and you see they won't leave you alone. That anger comes back. That, you know, whatever it is, it just keeps coming back. But now you're not caught up in it, you know, so much. So you have a little more perspective on it. Now you can begin to work with it. Yeah. Okay, so to go back to the beginning of this, and again, that's optional, but I wanted to put it in because it's somewhere to begin working. Begin with the recitation of the Sufi invocation 3 times, followed by inner reflection, connecting with the meaning and intention of this prayer. I mean, this is what we did before, but really all we're doing can be found within the Sufi invocation, and there's so many different ways of doing the breath of it, but in general, we'll talk about that later. Number 2, 33 vocal repetitions of Ya Raqib. This we already are doing. Calling forth heart-centered attention and interest in what you are focused upon in your awareness. So now we brought our intention up. We're quickening the heart. We want to quicken our interest and our holding of it in the heart. And then you follow that with the meditation. I won't read through it. It's basically what we've been doing before. I just phrased it a little bit differently. And then recite Surah Ikhlas in Arabic 10 times. And follow that with the breathing practice for 5 minutes using Ya Ahad and Ya Samad. Now, I think we should recite this together a few times to get it in our atmosphere. In fact, there's a melody for it that we learned many years ago, which some of us already know for it. But I usually don't do it with the melody, but Nizamuddin does, and he might like to share the melody with us. I'm just gonna read it through a few times. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Kulhu Allahu Ahad. Allahu Samad. Lam Yalid wa Lam Yalad wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Kulhu Allahu Ahad. Allahu Samad. Lam Yalid wa Lam Yalad wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. I think, let's sing it.
The one on here is Allah Samad.
Allah Samad. Allah Samad.
It's not Allah Samad.
I know, it isn't there, is it? That's from where we got it. Nizamuddin, how about we sing it?
So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Kulhu Allahu Ahad. Allahu Samad. Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakun Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Easier. Kulhu Allahu Ahad. Allahu Samad. Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakun Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Kulhu Allahu Ahad. Allahu Samad. Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakun Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Kulhu Allahu Ahad. Allahu Samad. Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakun Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Once more. Kulhu Allahu Ahad. Allahu Samad. Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakun Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. So it's probably easier to sing, but you can do it spoken. And years ago at Chamonix, I think it was 1972, I'd been asked to go over there and teach the dances and walks and Purvelites camp in the Alps. And one of the first tulkus to come to the West, Lama Chimi, was there. presenting teachings. And after one of his teachings, he invited questions, and I said, some people say Buddhists don't believe in God. What do you say? He said, what do you mean by God? And I quoted him this surah of the Quran, say, God is one, that God was never born and never gave birth, and is the source, eternal source, and goal of all. He said, we have no difference whatsoever. No difference whatsoever with that teaching. What they mean when they say they don't believe in God is they don't believe in this concept that we have, which is limited in some way. But that sense of the absolute, eternal essence that was never born and never died, that is formless and luminous, that's the Buddha nature. That's nothing but Buddha nature. Buddha means that the one who has realized that, radiates that, Bodhi, that light of that awakening of thatness. That we want to. I keep emphasizing that because if we can connect with that, and also with earth and the densest of vibration, then we have this whole gamut, this range of vibration that we're aware of, that we're connecting with in the breath. The practice that's given next is the one we did earlier. Using ahad and samad. When you exhale, continually dissolve into the oneness that is unending. Breathing out, yasamad. When you breathe out, yasamad, it is the same as breathing out toward the one and becoming melting snow, dissolving the sense of your small self into the eternal, continuous and unending, all-pervading oneness. Yasamad. When you inhale, breathe in ya-ahad. There's nothing outside of the unity of the one that is al-ahad. Experience this unity as a dot, and with the inhalation of ya-ahad, draw the reality of all that is into a dot, and experience integration of self in this dot. You become aware of the one that is the ultimate unity of being. Nothing is outside of this one. Nothing can be added to it or subtracted from it. To be fully conscious as you perform this practice asks you to accept that what you call your own awareness is actually an activity of the only being and is nothing but that being. This practice is highly recommended because oscillating back and forth between the dot and the continuation of the infinite and eternal circumference of the expanding circle gives the right psychological framework for progress in meditation. It allows us to ease into the letting go of self, dying before death. Because you just die for a moment, and then you come back, and you claim, selfhood in a fresh way. And then it's like stepping into the water. You practice, it's transition. Melting, configuring. Melting, configuring. It's very healthy. And it's a great preparation for going deep into dying before death, becoming reborn in the real self. Okay. The Sufi invocation uses all of these levels of meanings of the one. Now, so this practice you could do you could break up your practice into 2 periods in the day, or you could extend, what basically is maybe about 20 minutes or 25 minutes of practice to about 35 minutes or 40 minutes of practice. But basically that's what we're doing, is adding another bit to the practice. Not a lot. This is just a different way of, number 6 is just a different way of doing the toward the one walk when you do it. Instead of already visualizing the destination, this is focusing much more on the light that you're throwing on the path. Where the first one was focusing on toward the one, mostly in the sense of being drawn toward that destination, and you're really drawing that destination toward you, like in your experience of going to the field with the cows in it. Somehow or other you were just drawn there. But that's that way in which the cobra, as the yogi studied, draws the mouse into its mouth, and just by the breath, it doesn't even have to move, So the yogis really went to school on the qualities of the animals. But here, this is just doing it slightly differently, breathing toward the one, in and out from the heart center, opening, encouraging, and allowing your heart to feel lovingly drawn by the beauty of the perfect one, and feeling the inner harmony of your connection with the source and goal of all. You radiate the light ray of your intention on the path of your life. So it's really focusing on radiating, sending forth this beam of the light of your focused attention moving toward its goal. And it illuminates your path, and you walk like the sun toward your what you're connected with when you're invoking the one. But you're in this walk, you're just concentrating more on the sun aspect of it than the moon aspect.
And that was that walk. We did the walk this morning.
Yeah, we did, yeah. That was what we did this morning. The breath practice is something, that should only take you a few minutes, and you can find some time in the day to do it, or segue it into the other practice period or whatever. But this is really very simple. It's only going to take a few minutes. To begin with the left nostril, in and out 10 breaths. Make this a long, refined breath with a natural pause at the top and bottom. Then do 10 breaths in the right nostril in the same way. Then attempt to breathe 10 breaths evenly balanced in both nostrils. Use these exercises to become more aware of the particular feeling conveyed by these 3 ways of breathing. I'm just trying to make it really practical. We're talking about Jalal, Jamal, Kamal in the breath. Just doing this kind of exercise will make us more aware of what it feels like when the breath is in the left, when it's in the right, how challenging it is, and how balanced it feels when it's in both nostrils evenly. See, now here's a Kamal breath, in and out through both nostrils, which is really balancing both of these. It's finding a harmony within what could be a conflict, because it brings it into a balance. That's a simple practice to do. It goes on into further practices, which is called in Sufism kasab, which we will probably do in the future. But right now, I just want you to get, I'm really trying to take this at a stage that we can assimilate it, that we can repeat over these things, circle around them in different ways, come in on it, really keeping the practical in front of us. And that's because we have taken a long space for, doing this together, so it allows us to take it up in a proper developmental speed. The 8th one is just what we've been doing. Periodically check in with your breath throughout the day and notice its condition. For example, it could be Jalal, Jamal, Kamal, Uruj, Zaval, refined, coarse, powerful, dull, broad, narrow, etc. After checking in, consciously confirm the rhythm in your breath, or when needed, establish a rhythm in your breath. Stay with this awareness of the swing of your breath and allow it to gradually become longer and more refined, then continue with your activities. Notice any way in which your emotions have been influenced by having done the practice mentioned above.
In other words, by noticing a condition of the breath that was perhaps disturbed and doing this, what did anything change? I mean, again, this is things to notice, to make some note of in your journal, and that brings me to the subject of journaling. And I want to know how you're doing with it. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I've been listening to the MP3s,
Mm-hmm.
and so I take notes and then I have reactions or responses to the MP3s or to the reading, so that's kind of a learning thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been writing down impressions of the horror walk. It's been the one that I've had
Mm-hmm.
the most fun with, as far as pretty immediate responses. Have enjoyed that one. It is nice daily to just kind of keep tabs.
Yeah, well, you're doing it daily, and you're getting some benefit from it. It's kind of objectifying. Then if you look at the whole period of a month, and then several months, and so on, you begin to see things that you're noticing that change and how that develops. Other people have anything to share about it? I mean, people that are finding a lot of difficulty even writing one thing down. Yeah.
I noticed in my journaling, and it helped me to pay attention to this, is, you were saying earlier about how you notice you stop
Yeah.
breathing under certain stressful situations like driving, for instance. And I noticed that also, that I wasn't breathing. And so I started paying attention, and I journaled about it, and that, sort of helped me ground in it. The driving for me is actually the really, really nice, for me, a really nice place to do my breathing, because I can just do it rhythmically and concentrate, and
Yeah, me too, and that's a good place. And the one practice you can always do when you're driving is toward the one. Just to come fully into awareness of your breath and being present in this moment. That's that sense of one-pointedness, and focus that first level of doing toward the one brings. And that's the practice you can always do. You don't have to say the phrase toward the one, you just come into that awareness. The phrase toward the one just reminds you to come into that awareness.